Hello, and welcome to English 292, Netflix and Phil. I'm Jeremy Tirrell. I'll be your instructor. This video is just to give you a brief introduction to the course, how it's structured, how it's going to proceed, those kinds of things. You can always contact me with questions or come into office hours, which are Mondays and Wednesdays from 1 to 3. My email address is tirrellj@uncw.edu. You'll receive an email from me with this, so you can always just reply back to that. So let's go ahead and clear up just a few things, and then we'll take a look at the course site, and then we'll go from there. So a big thing to keep in mind is this is a completely online course, so we won't meet in person at any point during the semester. You can, of course, see me in office hours, but there are no scheduled class meetings. It's all online. That does mean that you need to be a little more self-sufficient in terms of handling your own work. There are also quite a few people in this class. It's about 150. So I can't stay on top of people in terms of what their grades are. You'll be able to see your grades through the Blackboard site at any time, so you should keep on top of that. So be aware, it is online. You can always come talk to me during office hours or schedule an appointment. I also have video chat office hours if you are off campus. So there's lots of ways to get a hold of me. I encourage you to do that if you have any questions. Otherwise, if you stick to the schedule that's online, you'll be fine. Another thing to keep in mind about this course is there's lots of material. A couple of folks have asked about this. And if you received my previous email and took a look at the calendar, we're engaging a lot of binge media. I mean, that's the focus of this course. So we are just, watching a lot of stuff, listening to a lot of stuff, reading a lot of stuff. So there's a fair amount of material. Now, a lot of it's popular. I mean, a big whack of it is going to be, stuff on Netflix. But there's critical material as well, journalistic material. And there's just a fair amount of that. So, you need to allot enough time to this course to engage all that material. You can't really rush through it. You have to actually, engage it all consciously and carefully. So be aware of that, even though this is an online class, much of the class time is engaging those works, and there's a fair whack of them. Another thing to keep in mind, because some folks have emailed and asked about this, this is not a writing intensive course. Not all English courses are writing intensive, and this is not one of them. In fact, this is a pilot course, so this doesn't bear the writing intensive competency. If you're in here for that, get out now, because it will not provide it. As we'll see in a little bit here, the actual sort of loop of how the class works, we engage material, we do brief responses. You're encouraged to do them as video or audio, but you can write them. We evaluate each other's responses, mostly to find salient discussion topics. We do video discussions, which, according to your schedule, your personal schedule, you may or may not be available for. It's perfectly fine because they're all recorded. You will need to watch them or participate in them because then the end of the loop is a quiz over the material. Excuse me. Some of those questions are just going to be drawn from the video discussions. Some will be drawn from the textual material itself. Some will be drawn from the binge media. So that's the gist of the class. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Blackboard shell. And just do that. Okay, so this is the course site. It is run through Blackboard. And you're probably familiar with Blackboard. It has its excuse me, its pluses and its minuses. Sorry, that is not commentary on Blackboard. I actually just need a drink here. I was having some almonds earlier. Why did I do that? So this is the home page. It's where I'll put news updates and announcements, since that's its name there. And you can see there are links to the other pages provided as well. You can see over here the navigation, which is kind of simplified in relation to perhaps some of the other Blackboard shells that you've engaged. But everything is there in an orderly package. So this is the home page. It's the announcements page. Same thing. The calendar, we'll look at that in just a second. That's going to be the most important thing, almost certainly. It's certainly where you'll spend a lot of your time because that's where everything is going to be. just need to go to the calendar, and then it'll give you links to everything else you need. The syllabus, that of course is important, although you'll probably deal with that really only at the beginning, and then you'll consult it. I say that because just about all the questions that you have probably will be in the syllabus. Not all of them, that's not fair. But a lot of questions are going to be answered in the syllabus, and you can get the information there more quickly than you can get a response from me. So do read through the syllabus. It does provide information about, what's graded and policies, things that you have to abide by, so you should know these. It also provides a link there for video chat, which I do during office hours. Usually I don't just leave it on. It notifies me when someone's in the room waiting. So, if you show up there and it's empty, I'll probably pop in a minute or two once I see the email. So that's the syllabus. Do read it. Do become familiar with it. It's got, important info like where my office is and my office hours, link to video chat, and you can email me as well. The assignments, this gives information about the different assignment categories. This is on the syllabus as well, although it doesn't explicate what they are, right? The assignments section does that. So we're not going to dive into this right now, but do read these. Responses, that's a big part of the course. They are in two parts. You do a response to the binge media. I encourage you to do that either as recorded video or audio. And our school recommends Clipchamp for video and Vocaroo for audio, although you can use whatever you'd like. You can use your phone and upload it to YouTube, or save it as a file and then just attach it to a post or whatever. There's lots of options there. You do not have to record it. You can, of course, just use a textual response, as it says here. Nothing wrong with that, particularly if you don't have access to recording facilities or that kind of thing. The second part is you do have to ask a question about the assigned critical material. And we'll take a look at the calendar and see how this works. But basically, every week you have some binge media and then some supporting critical material. Response ratings, after we do our responses, we'll be rating each other's. Not all of them, just a subset. The reason why we do that is to find salient topics for video discussion. Quizzes, that's a big part of the course. After we do responses, after we rate them, after we have video discussion, we will do a quiz for just about every week. The only exceptions are when we have projects due. So we do all that stuff in prep for the quizzes. And as I mentioned, quizzes draw questions from binge media, from the supporting critical material, and from the video discussions themselves. So if you can't participate in a live video discussion, you can watch the recorded version. I post the recordings, pretty much right after we're done. So. And then here we have our first project, which will be responding to essay prompts. It gives you a sketch right now. I'm going to add some more material to that in terms of a rubric and my expectations for what I want out of that. But it gives you the overview because we're on the first project. So that's assignments, grades. You know what that is. It'll list your grades here. We do use a point system rather than a percentage system. So that, in a sense, makes it a lot easier because you'll know, this many points are possible and this is what I got. So your grades are there. The first two parts of response one, the reply and the question, those are posted and they'll be due on Friday. And then our first major project there, the essay prompts, that's posted as well. Help and resources, that provides things like orientation links. This library resources folder, we have an embedded librarian, Lisa Coates, for this course. She will add material there, particularly later in the semester when we start doing research. She's really going to help us out there. She'll also visit one of our video chats to answer questions and that kind of thing. And she'll have a discussion forum, in fact, to address any additional questions subsequent to our video chat. So that's it. Now the calendar, that's really As I said, where you'll be spending most of your time, it's probably the most crucial thing because it spells out exactly what you're going to be doing. And because this is online, we don't meet. So you just need to keep up with this calendar. Just a quick overview of how it works. You can see we've got sort of 3 main units here, each with a corresponding main project. So this first unit is called Buying and Selling, and it has a project due here on the 15th of February. That's those essay prompts. The next unit then has to do with true crime. It's got a project due here on April the 5th. It's going to be an annotated bibliography. It's not posted yet because we're not in that unit. And then the last unit here, we can see it wraps up on the 3rd of May. And it has an associated project. It's a profile of an outsider group. That whole unit is about outsiders. So essentially, this is a calendar. You can see it goes sort of meeting by meeting, although we don't meet in person. So for example, our first week, which is starting now, we need to watch season 1, House of Cards, episodes 1 through 7. It's basically half of the first season. So we need to watch those. That's a little under 7 hours because the episodes are about 50 minutes or so. And then we need to read this linked critical work here. This is Jenner's binge watching video on demand quality TV and mainstreaming fandom. This is the abstract. You click the PDF here to get the full version. That goes through our library. It's a direct link through our library's subscription to this journal. So you just need to watch this. You do need your Netflix subscription, as I mentioned in my previous email. This you get, for free through our library. Once you do that, you can see we've got our first response due by Friday, the 13th. Ooh, I wasn't aware of that. Anywho, it's Friday the 13th. That's our first response is due. As it says up here, assignments are due by end of day, right? 11:59 p.m. of the indicated day. So by the end of day, Friday the 13th there, you'll want to do response 1. You can just click there and it'll take you right to it. I'm gonna have a separate video where we walk through how to submit these. I don't want to dive into it right now, but that will be our first response. That's due by end of day Friday. Then by end of day Sunday, you need to rate responses. Again, I will have separate material going over how to do that. It'll actually probably be the same video because those two acts are linked together. The gist of it is after everyone does their responses, you rate using a 5-star rating system some of your classmates' responses. And as I say, that doesn't affect grades or anything like that. You do have to do it. That part is a grade. But it just helps us identify what are the sort of most salient responses so that we can address them in our video discussions, which generally take place on Mondays at 4 o'clock. This is covered in the syllabus here. Most Mondays at 4 p.m. we have video discussions, okay? That time may shift. It kind of depends on schedules, but usually Mondays at 4 is when we'll have our video discussion. If you cannot participate at that time, there will be a recording after we finish. You do need to watch the recording because we have our first quiz on the 18th, that is Wednesday. And questions will come from the video discussion, the binge material, and the critical work. Quizzes, they are, as it says in the assignments here, they are 12 questions. They're short answer, so multiple choice, fill in the blank, that kind of thing. And they do pull from the binge media, the critical work, and the video discussions. One thing to be aware of about them, they're not I mean, they're online, they're Blackboard quizzes. So, we're not all in a room, taking a test. You're doing it on your own machine or mobile or whatever. So they're not proctored, but they are timed. You've got 30 minutes. The reason why is so if they were untimed, you could just open up the quiz and just, go through the material and fill in the blanks sort of as you went. This is a quiz, so the idea is you know the material well enough that you can reply to 12 questions, that are short answer here, multiple choice, fill in the blank, in 30 minutes. So it's a little more than 2 minutes a question. The intent is not to, trick people with questions. It's to make sure that we're reading and engaging and watching, paying attention, and that we're, syncing up concepts that are in the critical material with our binge media. So quizzes are a fair, a chunk of the course. You can see we've got them every week that we don't have a project due. The intent is not to trick you, but they are timed because I want you to be watching critically. I want you to be reading and taking notes. The idea here is to work with concepts here, not just to teach to a test, So that's how the loop works, right? Goes from Friday to Wednesday. That's essentially the week of our class. Week 1 is Friday to Wednesday. Week 2 is Friday to Wednesday. So it's a little quirky, but as you can see, you just go through the days. Friday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. Friday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. They just boom, 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 one after another. Everything's going to be linked up. Right now, only these things are linked because I don't want it to be confusing. I don't want people to click the wrong thing accidentally. It always, always, always happens. You'll click the wrong thing and you'll post something in the wrong week, and then you won't get a grade and you won't understand why. The way to fix that is to not link to stuff unless you need it. So that's what I do. So all of these links will become active when you need to do them, and not before. That's essentially how the loop of the class works. The only thing to be aware of is, as you can see, when our projects are due, we won't go through the main loop. We won't be doing any new material. We won't be doing responses, ratings, discussions, or quizzes. You have essentially this week to turn in. So you can see we've got from Wednesday the 8th, you've got a whole week to essentially complete the project. That doesn't mean you can't work ahead. You should probably, but given the pace and the amount of stuff, it's not like you have a ton of extra time. I'm sure you've got other classes as well. So you do have this dedicated week to wrap up those projects. That's essentially how it works. This is basically just a calendar. You go day by day by day. You click the things that you need to do. Do look ahead because, you can't do the response without watching all this stuff, and it takes days to do that. Well, unless you plop down and watch 1 through 7 all at once. This is a binge media class. If you have the ability to do that, do it. We'll talk about it in video discussions about schedules. In fact, this first critical work, this binge watching one, it talks about exactly that thing. What constitutes a binge versus, well, I just watched one, every night. Is that binge watching? We'll find out. That's this class. That's the gist of things. So do go through all of these components over here. Familiarize yourself with it. You should have got an email with this already. But now things are starting to get live. The class has started. If you do have questions, consult, the syllabus, the assignments page, and then you can always contact me. But do consult this information first, because as I said, you can get answers there a lot quicker than you can get an email from me. I mean, that might take a day. If you look here, in the syllabus, it's probably there. But do not hesitate to contact me if you have individual questions. You have a specific thing about I'm going to be traveling or this or that or whatever. We can usually work things out, particularly because you can always kind of work ahead. We'll figure it out, whatever your problem is. It's just with 150 people, getting 150 emails is untenable. All right, let's, okay, here I am. So again, I'm Jeremy Tirrell. I'm excited about this course. I hope you are. I've had a lot of questions about what this course is. Yeah, a lot of it is watching Netflix, but we're not just watching Netflix. We're engaging critically. Binge media is important. It's economically huge. It's culturally huge. You can see things like divides in politics and society and socioeconomic, depending on what you do with this stuff, socioeconomic brackets. So it's important in a lot of different ways. It bears attention. It bears sustained academic engagement. So that's what we're going to be doing. But yeah, a lot of this is just watching Netflix and listening to podcasts, reading, and then turning our critical awareness to that. If you have any questions or anything, I know this video has gone long. Videos aren't going to be this long. It's just we got to get through this. Do feel free to consult the material online and then email me. I do have office hours 1 to 3 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and we can do video chat through that using WebEx. Oh, I forgot to mention, we use the school's video conferencing software, WebEx. We'll talk about this more as it gets closer. But if you're familiar with that, it's what the school uses. All right, that's it. If you have specific questions, you can contact me. I'm excited about this. I hope you are too. I will hypothetically see you around. All right.